Lauren Laria du Louviert and her maid Rita Farron are both captured by bandits, and Lauren was about to be manhandled by one of them. That is, until the arrival of a large armored knight named Ark, who promptly slays them with a single swipe of his sword. Before all of this, Ark awakens in front of a tree and is left perturbed by his situation. After calming himself down, he assesses himself and his equipment and realizes that he's inside of the body of his game character Ark, recalling that he fell asleep after playing the game. Ark tries out his wyvern slash move and is left stupefied by the power behind it. Trying out magic next, Ark casts a simple fire spell that incinerates a tree, contemplating how he's able to use magic despite his class being incapable of doing so. Ark then surmises that he's able to utilize all of the previous skills from the upgrade path of his main skill Holy Knight, which led him to believe he's super strong. Growing hungry and sadly without food or funding, Ark casts a gate spell to teleport him somewhere, but is instead teleported off a cliff he stood close by. Reflecting on how the gate spell works, Ark instead uses another spell called Dimension Move. Landing safely by a river stream, Ark takes off his helmet to drink from it, but realizes that his head is that of a skeleton. Remembering that he chose the skeleton avatar back in his old world, Ark fathoms that if he entered a town without wearing his helmet, he'd be treated as a monster. Hence, he plans to try and avoid drawing any attention to himself and teleports to a nearby town. The name of the town is Louviert, and after exploring the place a bit, Ark encounters a woman arguing with an investigator over his failure to obtain the information she hired him for. As it turns out, the woman was an elf, which amazes Ark, but he soon loses sight of her. He, however, then finds the town's mercenary guild and upon entering it, tries to acquire a license. Initially, the male receptionist claims that it'd be pointless for him to get one as he appears to be well employed already due to the armor he's wearing. So, Ark gives an excuse and the receptionist believes it, but informs him that before he can get one he'll have to pass a trial. The trial entails that Ark must bring back proof of subjugation of one of three things: a beast, monster, or bandit. Wasting no time, Ark leaves the guild as the receptionist and a fellow guild member draw a conclusion to Ark's backstory of why he decided to join the guild. Afterward, Ark slays a couple of boars and then an orc. Carrying the proof of subjugation, Ark spots a group of bandits surrounding a carriage who slays the guards and surround a noble lady and her maid. Reflecting on how different the situation is from killing beasts or monsters, the bandits take advantage of the noble lady and her maid. We see again Ark slaying the bandits and this time finishing off the remaining bandits with his wyvern slash move. Once the bandits were dealt with, Ark checks upon the two ladies and learns of their names, and when Rita asks if Ark belongs to a noble, briskly, Ark comes up with a makeshift story of how he's a cursed knight that's on a journey to find a remedy for his condition, but withholds it from the two for now. As Rita and Lauren step into the forest to take care of themselves, Ark cremates the bandits' bodies with his fire spell and notes his lack of guilt for killing them all. Before the ladies return, Ark loots the bandits' belongings and uses their horses to carry it all. Heading back to the town, Ark rides parallel to Lauren's carriage driven by Rita, who thanks Ark for what he did, while Lauren makes Ark feel uncomfortable as he puts it, staring holes into him. Rita then asks for Ark's name and he introduces himself as a humble traveler by the name of Ark. Back at the guild, Ark turns in his subjugated prey and receives a runestone from the orc that he slew and is advised by the receptionist to remove them whenever you kill a monster. After a brief explanation of what runes can be processed into, Ark is given his license and he immediately checks into an inn and has the food served there delivered to his room. Indulging and imbibing in the food and drinks that he was served, Ark looks forward to completing some quests the following day. A single mother named Siona works hard for her two children, Marka and Helena. She heads to the field every morning as the sun rises. Wanting to help their mother, Marka writes a job request asking for help. Eventually, Ark accepts the job, which entails protecting someone as they collect herbs. He arrives at the job destination called Rada Village, and the village gatekeeper directs him to Siona's home. Arriving at the location, both Marka and her sister Helena were eating breakfast when Ark knocks on the door and Marka answers it, immediately bewildered by the large presence of Ark, who informs her that he accepted their job posting from the mercenary guild. A brief flashback shows an interaction between the guild receptionist and Ark about the job, and the receptionist suggests Ark be gentle with the client. Back in the present, Ark is served tea and Marka politely asks if they can start immediately, to which Ark accepts and thus Marka prepares herself for the work ahead. En route to their destination, Ark mentions that the job details mentioned fanged boars have appeared around the village necessitating protection. Hence, Ark asks why Marka is trying to complete this mission so quickly, and Marka confesses that her mother would be coming home soon and disapprove of what they're doing. She also asks that Ark keep this information from her mother and goes on to reveal that her father passed away the previous year and that her mother had been raising them by herself. Her mother took it upon herself to take up her father's job to collect herbs, and Marka wants to make her mom happy. The confession impresses and moves Ark's heart and is resolved to help Marka with her task to collect herbs. In the fields where some herbs called kakura are located, Marka gives Ark a lesson about the plant, which impresses Ark with how knowledgeable she is. Marka then suggests they head to the nearby kabumi tree, but some shaking in the bushes alerts him, and upon investigating it finds a wounded green multi-tailed monster. It bites Ark's finger when he extends a hand, and so Ark then uses healing magic on it to allow it to heal from its wound. Elated, the monster gleefully scurries around Ark and decides to follow him. Marka suggests that Ark name the creature, and after a bit of a naming session, Ark decides the name of Ponta. Back in the village, a hunter is distraught by something he saw in the forest that wasn't the usual fang boar that would be normally encountered in the forest. As it so happens, Siona arrives back in the village and hears from the gatekeeper that Marka left for the forest earlier that morning with a knight. Returning to Ark's group, they find the kabumi tree in full bloom, and the moment Marka approaches the tree, a giant basilisk appears from behind it. Noticing Ponta's upset behavior toward the beast, Ark deduces that the one responsible for injuring her was the monster. Before the basilisk could stomp on Marka, Ark briskly pulls her out of the way and then avoids its poison fog breath attacks. Analyzing the basilisk's attacks, while defending against its paralyzing claws and whip-like tongue, Ark then uses his holy shield of 2 dates to defend against a petrification attack. After this, Ark uses his judgment attack that slices the monster in half, thereby defeating it. Happy that the monster was defeated, Marka notes that the villagers will celebrate the monster's death, but Ark requests that it be kept a secret, and Marka understands. Ark then notices a ring around the monster's right ankle that disappears moments after it was spotted. It's deduced by Ark that the fang boars that appeared close by the village were drawn there by the basilisk. As it so happens, one appears before them and Ark slays it and presents it as a gift to the village, but notes he'd take the boar's fangs and runed stone as payment. He also intends that the hide be tanned and given to Marka, and the meat would be divided among the villagers. Marka then reunites with her mother Siona, who embraces her daughter, and Ark formally apologizes to Siona for recklessly allowing her daughter to go into the forest. The village gatekeeper and hunter then approach Ark and ask him if he ran into the monster that was wreaking havoc in the forest, but he denies it, as does Marka. By dusk, Ark and Ponta get ready to leave, and Ark is given a circlet of flowers by Helena. Later that night within the forest, a large group of soldiers slay a giant basilisk of their own. The leader is given a status report of the total number of deceased and injured soldiers by his subordinate, and about how a single person managed to slay a giant basilisk by themselves. Amazed by this feat, the leader surmises that the one who slew it must be either a god or devil. Meanwhile, Ark enjoys himself in his room with Ponta and considers taking on a more challenging quest the next day. Arian's inner monologue notes how the elf and human treaty is nothing more than a farce at that point in time, and that she seeks more power. It was the encounter with a large man in silver armor that would change her destiny, as she spots Ark with Ponta on his shoulder exiting a cave and prepares to attack him. Before this encounter, Ark was chasing a group of bandits inside of the cave, and after they were dealt with, Ark finds their hoard of treasure. He also spots a couple of cages there, but pays no mind to them. Elsewhere, in Dinto, Marquis Triton hears from his consort Celsica about the failed assassination attempt on Lauren's life. As for the beasts that were set loose in Luvert, they were the giant basilisks, which were both individually slain. The news disheartens Triton, and Celsica asks why Prince Dakares was targeting the area in the first place. Triton, on the other hand, has no clue, but surmises it's from His Highness backers from the Eastern Empire. It's also noted that they cannot allow any information to leak that they're in allegiance with Dakares to come to light, or else that would complicate matters with Prince Sect. Henceforth, Triton orders that the product must be secured and sent to the market, and that Princess Uriana not become aware of this. Celsica assures that it will be done, and Triton then asks about his son Utilan, and Celsica details that he was escorting the product, which Triton scornfully disapproves of. Back to Ark. He's attacked by Arian and recognizes her as the elf from the city. Arian accuses Art of being a bandit, but stops attacking him after she sees Ponta and recognizes her as a spirit creature. This clears the suspicion of Ark being a bandit, and Arian discloses that she heard that bandits that were located there were hunting elves. Realizing that's what the cages he found in the cage were for, Ark informs Arian that no elves were found in there, and then learns from her that elves are sold for a high price on the slave market. Before Arian runs off, Ark tries to offer his help, but Arian flatly rejects the offer and runs off. Despite being rejected, Ark is adamant to help, as he considers it an event quest of some sort. Back at his room at the inn, Ark enjoys his dinner and talks about his time with Arian, who did not introduce herself to him, but still, he hopes to see her again and plans to seek her out the following day. Warping into a place that he had suspected was close to the elven forest, Ponta then senses some presence nearby. It turns out it was a young elven girl trying to escape from her captors, but is soon caught. The aforementioned Utilan was the leader of the bandit captors, who not only taunts the girl for trying to escape, but also stabs her in the leg as well. Ark watches it all as it unfolds, and before he could make a move, Arian appears and takes out a couple of bandits with a single swipe. One of the bandits recognizes Arian as a dark elf, a rare type of elf, and would fetch a great price, which Utilan claims that he doesn't care for her and the bandits are to do whatever they please with her. A large number of bandits then surround Arian, but she instantly defeats them, and one of the remaining bandits recognizes Arian as an elven warrior. Once Arian takes out nearly all of the remaining bandits, Arian is caught in a pinch when Udalan takes one of the elven girls hostages. Seeing an opportunity to help, Ark appears behind Udalan and uses his armor lariat attack against him, which KOs him. The remaining bandits are then dealt with by Arian. The elven captives were rescued, and Arian notices that the captives wore mana-eating collars. Unaware of what such a collar is or does, Arian explains that it suppresses their ability to use their spirit magic. Ark casts a curse on one of the elven girls and then heal the wounds on the girl. This act leaves Arian amazed at how he was able to accomplish such a feat with little incantation. Soon, Ark removes the remaining collars on the rest of the elven girls. Arian summons her spirit creature, a whispering fowl, to relay a message about the rescued elves. Eventually, a couple of cloaked elves arrive at the scene and pick up the formerly captive elven girls. With the elven girls out of the picture, Arian recounts the skills and abilities that Ark displayed and demands to know who he really is, but Ark assures that he is no one of any importance. Just as the whispering fowl returns and relays a message from someone claiming that the main perpetrator's HQ is located in Dinto, and that they're going to make a move on there soon. In light of this, Arian asks to hire Ark for his services. Arian requests to hire Ark, who considers that her comrades will act apprehensively towards him, but she's willing to trust that they'll accept him the same way she does. So, Ark accepts Arian's offer. Using the magic spellgate, Ark teleports the group to Little River, which surprises Arian as she notices Dinto in the distance. The reason why Ark teleported them to that spot by the river was that he didn't want to cause a commotion in the city. When they arrive in the city, they wait for Danka, who Ark is shocked by the severe look on his face. Once Arian gives a brief introduction of Ark to Danka, they decide to reconvene at a restaurant. There, Arian formally introduces Danka to Ark, and he notices that Danka has Maple in his name too, which leads him to believe that they're related. Arian then informs Ark of the nomenclature of elves. Ark then tries to ask Danka a question, but he's too preoccupied with his beef skewer and beer. After finishing those off, Danka coldly asks who Ark is, and Arian explains Ark's backstory and that he can use teleportation magic. Confirming that he can use teleportation magic, Ponta appears by his shoulder and Danka recognizes him. Impressed by this news, Danka then discloses the location of their target area within the theater district. It's decided that they'll wait until nightfall when the security is most lax. In light of that, Ark and Ponta leave for an hour to prepare themselves, and Arian says they'll be waiting there for him. With Ark gone, Danka notes that he's surprised that she asked for help from an outsider. In her confession, she admits that she was adequate in trying to rescue the captured elves and claims that her sister would have had no trouble in accomplishing it. Danka then says that one day, she should be able to stand in the same acclaim as her sister, but asks if they can really trust Ark, and she reaffirms it. Meanwhile, Ark is shown to have cashed in the bandit bounties and possessions. Now with some gold, Ark buys a meal for himself and enjoys it with Ponta. Elsewhere, the captive elves' location is revealed, and one of the elves proclaims that they'll be rescued and that the bandits will be punished. The bandits, however, pay no mind to the warning. That night, the group heads out to their destination, all while being tailed by an unknown person. Using Dimension Move, Ark teleports the group to the rooftop of their destination. After Arian struggles to get inside the building, Ark uses Dimension Move again to teleport Danka, Ponta, and himself into the building. Searching around the inside of the building, they find that some of the bandits were killed. From there, they all split up to investigate the building so they can cover more ground. Ark uses Dimension Move to cover the sound of his tracks as he moves around the building, and the moment he finds more dead bandits in a room, he's attacked by a ninja. Exuberant over this discovery, the ninja asks Ark how he knows that she's a ninja, but calms down after seeing Ponta. The ninja deduces that Ark is there for the enslaved elves and then gives him a roll of paper which she claims will be of use to him, the location of the elves. She also notes that she was unable to locate her own objective there and then gives Ponta a sprig of berries. As a show of remorse, the ninja informs Ark that there are 2 more elves being held captive in the Lord's palace. The papers which the ninja gave Ark turn out to be paper contracts for elven slaves, and Ark shows this to both Arian and Danka while also mentioning there are 2 more elves in the Lord's palace. When asked about where he found the papers, Ark claims that he found them on one of the bandits there. At that moment, 3 bandits enter the room Ark's group is in and are swiftly dealt with by Arian. Down in the basement area, the elven girls are freed by Ark's group, and the elves are thankful for being rescued by them. Gate is cast by Ark, and outside, he notices the magic-eating collars around the elves' necks and uses Uncurse to dispel them. This feat astonishes Dank. As the elves thank Ark, Danka tells Arian that it's not over yet and that he'll lead the elves home safely. He also leaves Ark and Arian to take care of rescuing the remaining 2 elves held captive in the Lord's palace. Ark then uses Dimension Move to reach the Lord's palace. Watching them from afar was the ninja accompanied by another ninja, and she comments that they'll meet again someday. Let's just finish the storyline up here. If you are still curious about the continuation, watch the following video. Thank you and sayonara.